All right. So basically, what my life was like in those first 4 or 5 months, I can't remember how long I stayed in that sober living, but I was in that sober living 5 days a week, and I would usually come over and stay with you on a weekend pass. I have to mention this too. My mom told me that I just had to go to this sober living for 30 days. That's all. That's all I had to do. And that's what I did. I went there for 30 days, and no matter how much I hated it at first and didn't like it, didn't like the people, I'm just like sitting there marking off the days on the calendar, and it's getting day 28, it's getting day 29, and I pack my bag up, and I'm ready to go, and I call you up. I'm like, all right, Mom, it's day 30, so what's up? Are you going to send me back to Las Vegas? Am I going to move in with you? What's going on, right? And what did you tell me?
No.
Yeah, she basically said,
No.
you're not going anywhere. And I was
No.
livid. I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, oh, yeah, you're staying there for at least 90 days. And I was like, you are out of your mind. And I'm grateful for it. You know, I am so grateful. And because a lot of us think that 30 days is going to fix somebody. Ideally, and correct me if I'm wrong, ideally somebody should be in treatment for at least 90 days, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
in a perfect world where insurance covered everything or people were rich, they'd have treatment for 90 days, right? So
At least 6 months, maybe.
yeah, so my mom said, you know, you're going to be in there for 90 days. And much like when she gave me the ultimatum, I saw that she wasn't budging, and I said, all right, just going to make the best of this thing. So that's what I did. And so I was going over to her house on the weekends. You know, I would help her take care of the dog. I would get a pass and just kind of have some freedom. Would be able to get on my computer, talk to some friends, and I would play my video games. But yeah, so I think it's important that we discuss, you know, the family dynamic when people get sober, right? So what it was like for me on my end, right? Just dealing with my mom, and after 4 or 5 months, I stayed in there, right? I stayed in there for 4 or 5 months. After 4 or 5 months, I finally moved in with my mom, and most people would think, all right, mom got sober a while ago, son's sober now. Now they're living together. Everything's going to be that, you know, perfect, beautiful family, right? And we had our ups and we had our downs. And from my end of it, it was difficult because moving in with my mom, who I still, you know, you don't just immediately get over 20 years of resentments, right? Plus my resentments that I accrued during my addiction, because you got sober when I was 20. So then all the other resentments that I accrued, now it's like, now we got to work through those. Now we got to deal with those, right? And so I wasn't used to having, you know, you around. You're not used to me coming into your house being the sloppy guy I am, right? So there was a lot of arguments. So what was it like with for you moving in with you after a few months sober?
A lot of serenity prayer.
Right?
A lot of serenity prayer. Because
Yeah.
I'm in recovery and I'm still self-centered. I like living alone.
Yeah.
So now I have to share my space. And
yeah.
I don't think we had a lot of fights because I used to say prayers, not the fight.
Yeah.
Because you are a little bit not as clean as I am.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there weren't a lot, but there were some. And one thing too that I have to mention is when I moved out of that sober living house, and a lot of us in recovery, we end up getting best friends who are like family, right?
Yeah.
So two of my best friends from that sober living didn't really have any place to go, and I asked my mom if they could move in. My mom was living in a 3-bedroom house by herself, and she said absolutely, right? And part of my idea was I was going to help keep them sober, but I think you realized that these two guys were helping keep me sober too, right?
That's right.
So we kind of turned
That's
this.
what I wanted to. I'm going to try to save my son. I mean, I love those guys. They're like my little boys, but I really moved them in because I thought it was a good recovery thing to do for you.
So we kind of turned your house into a second sober living house. I ended up sharing the rooms with one of the guys. The other guy had his own room. And yeah, we stayed there for almost a year. And yeah, during this time, you know, my mom and I, we were trying to learn how to be mother and son at that point, you know, and there was great times and bad times, but we both learned how to deal with this sober, you know. And part of this is that you were part of my support group too. I would go with you sometimes to your early morning home group, right? I'd be the kid in the meeting, and everybody would be like, "Oh, you're that kid who your mom thought he was gonna die," right? And they would see me staying sober and all that kind of stuff. But it was good for accountability too. And I tell everybody this: once you move out of sober living or once you get out of treatment, you have to be your own accountability. Well, when you move in with your mom, who's in recovery, who runs a treatment center, and also has easy access to cups that you pee in, like, I had a lot of accountability for my whole first year, right? Because even if I looked funny, there was a little cup waiting for me in the bathroom, right? And a lot of our instinct is, how dare you? Don't you understand? Don't you see how much work I'm doing, right? But that's where I learned to call my sponsor, and he'd be like, "Hey, do you think your mom might have any reason not to trust you? Have you ever done anything in the past?" And he would keep my head straight. So it's kind of funny how me and you would have to call our sponsors to kind of learn how to live and deal with situations and all that kind of stuff.
Every day.
But there were certain points, and just so everybody knows, me getting sober, a lot of those anger issues and depression issues and anxiety issues, all those things, they stayed with me when I got sober, and that's when I realized that I needed to work some kind of program to get through those things. I knew I wasn't going to stay sober with all that anger built up inside of me. And that's where 12-step programs came in for me. But yeah, it got to a point where I think it was only on one occasion when it got really severe, but you almost like kicked me out of your house because I couldn't stop arguing with you. And I remember not being able to stop my mouth too. I remember calling my sponsor and telling him, I said, "I don't know what's wrong with me." I said, "I just cannot." I'm like, I know I should be grateful. I know I should be quiet, but there were things that were just setting off my fuse, and we would get into arguments. And, thank God for your patience and tolerance and understanding. And, my sponsor would have me apologize. He would say, "You know what, make amends, like just say you're sorry, but let her know that you're working really hard to get through this, to get to the other side of this thing." And that's what I do. But for anybody listening to this or watching this, what I try to teach clients is, almost like I mentioned when you made your amends to me, we have to follow it up with action. I couldn't just tell you that I was working really hard to become a better person, to work on my anger and all these other things. I couldn't just tell you that without doing some kind of footwork, right? Or else I would have just kept getting angry. But yeah, and when I started working the steps, and even when I finally moved back to Vegas after a year, but throughout that year that I was still in Fresno with you, like, we became really good friends. Like, we had that mom-son relationship. Like, you would hang out with me and my buddies, and they loved having you around too, and it was weird and embarrassing but fun at the same time.
Yeah.
We would play board games, we would play poker, but you introduced me to Young Peoples of Alcoholics Anonymous, where they did a lot of fun activities, and you encouraged me to go out and have fun and stuff, and that helped me out a lot. But yeah, so now, just going over my first few years sober, I moved back to Vegas. I struggled a bit, and I finally got a job. And in my early days, I was still calling you every other week asking for money, and then finally, I landed this amazing job with American Addiction Centers. What was it like for you? Because I remember you, like, almost every year or every month saying, "Chris, I still can't believe you're sober," right?
Yeah.
Is it still a shock to you that I'm sober?
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Little bit.
But what was
the same with me, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's not natural for us to be sober.
Exactly.
It's a miracle. It's not natural.
Yeah, and so what was it like for you when you found out I got a job working at a treatment center?
Oh, I was like a Chester cat, all happy.
Yeah?
Like, that's awesome. Yeah, what a gift.
I know, it's crazy. So everybody knows, I had no plans on this. This just kind of fell into my lap. I never had any idea I was going to be in this position. But, now I see why my mom is so passionate about this. But what's beautiful about this, not only were we able to support each other in our recovery, like, I'm able to call my mom. She works in the same industry as me. And we can talk, and you can call me too. because
Yeah, I
I
do.
get some of the stuff that
Yeah.
you're going through, you get some of the stuff I'm going through, and everything I've learned about how to do my job better has come from you too, right? Like,
Aw.
I know, like, I have clients who love when I do groups, and I try to emulate what I've learned from you, so,
Aw.
and that's beautiful that we're able to do that, and now we're able to help people, and we're able to support each other in that sense too. And one of the biggest things, and I'll say this, like, one of my biggest, so one of my biggest reservations when I got sober, like, we have our whole list, like, okay, well, if I get in a car accident, I'm going to use painkillers. I actually did get in a car accident and never used them, right? Or
Right.
if I go through a breakup, I'm going to use or I'm going to drink. But one of the ones that was on the top of my list was if my grandmother, your mother, if she passed away. And last year in 2016, she was suffering from Parkinson's, and it was progressively getting worse, right? So during this time, and just to let you all know, like, who have been following this whole story, where we both came from, now we're both struggling with this woman that we love passing away, but we're able to call each other day in and day out and talk to each other about what we're going through, right? And like, and I wouldn't have been able to be a sober ear for my mom to talk to, and she wouldn't be a sober ear for me to talk to, because if this would have happened back in my addiction, I probably would have ignored your calls, like when this was happening. Like, I don't even know if I would have came down to California, right? But one of my greatest gifts, and I know we call her Nana, right? Just must have been so proud. She got to see you sober for all these years, for 10 years, and she got to see me sober for 3.5 years, right?
Right.
And that must have been
Right.
amazing. And yeah, and luckily too, because I work in, my team, the alumni team at American Addiction Centers, we're all in recovery, and my boss, when this was happening and when Nana actually passed away, I was able to come down and stay with you for a week, and we were able to,
Oh, yeah.
hang out and be there for each other and stuff, and I don't know, that's just one of the most beautiful things about this whole me getting sober and you getting sober, is that we can be there for each other now, through the good
Oh, yeah.
times, through the
Oh,
bad,
yeah.
and you can call me and I can call you at any time, and we know we're going to be there for each other, and but we can also still keep each other accountable, right? So
Right.
if I start slacking, you can call me out on it, and I can
Oh,
call
you
you.
call me too. So yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that's kind of my message to everybody out there, is no matter what happens, who your friend is, who your family member is, if it's your parent, if it's your child, right? Like, there is a chance that it can get better, Like, what do you tell to families who are going through this stuff, and you do family sessions, who are worried
I'm gonna
that,
do. Let me look at the clock. Yeah, I'm gonna do my next one pretty soon. What do I tell them? What do you mean?
like, what kind of hope do you try to give them, like,
I tell
about,
them this is a. I say there's a lot of hope. I let them know, and I sit closely and support them, hear their concerns and their issues, and I tell them there's hope.
hmm
Hope.
yeah, and
And we get them involved in a lot of family groups, support groups.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah, and that's just the one thing, and I tell everybody that the one thing that sobriety gave me that I never had, even when I was a kid, was hope. Just that one word. It can all be summed up with hope. Like, even
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I had no hope that tomorrow would be better today, right? But now that I'm sober, no matter how bad my day is, I go to bed with hope that tomorrow's going to be better,
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's it. I think we're going to be good. So, yeah. So thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you later.